Muffin is going to do Sarabash. He is going to use Bashes.
A minute away from his PB with everything going on. Oh my god. Is that faster?
Is that faster? Big jerk sometimes. He doesn't want to play nice. Oh my good lord.
What a save!
Oh, he makes it. Wow.
Oh my god, nice. Hello everyone and welcome to another match in the Ori All Skills Tournament 2019, round of 32. Today we have Shed versus Jelluh. My name is Rufus and with me commentating today is Loopy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this race. It's another round of 32. We've got the 4th seed versus the 29th seed, but don't let that let you make assumptions too fast. Both of these runners are performing really consistently, with Jelluh having achieved their PB in the qualifiers and Shed having been just over 10 seconds away from their PB in the qualifiers. So both of these runners are pretty on fire right now.
Yeah, for sure. At this point, we're getting a good distance into the round of 32 and had a lot of exciting matches so far. This one actually has already given me vibes like you were saying, don't count either player out. We already had a 28 seed knock out a 5 seed. Here we have a 29 against the 4th seed. So it could go either way, but both of these runners, like you said, are playing well, have been practicing a lot for this match, and so it's sure to be exciting. Here we have a little bit of information about the runners. So as you see, kind of the qualifier time that you were just mentioning, Loopy, we have 30:04 for Shed and a 36:13 for Jelluh.
Yeah, very close to their PBs, which you can see above. You'll note that there's quite a lot of similarities between the runners, so not too many different strategies here. Keyboard and mouse for both, so potential double bashes from both, and also going the Terror Break route. However, there's a slight difference in the health cells that they're taking, but they're both seemingly taking 5 health cells total.
Yeah, and that's what's really important is kind of how much safety are they going to have going in to that final escape. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But other than that, something I did want to mention, Shed was mentioning before the race that they will be going for PB if possible, and if they're on that PB pace, they're going to go all out for it. So it'll be really exciting to see if they can do that. And I have to imagine Jelluh is feeling the same way, that if Jelluh's on PB pace, he's going to go all out for it. But
yeah. Shed definitely bringing the respect for Jelluh, also stating that if it's not PB pace, there's going to be some safety thrown in just to try and not let risky move claim victory. Anyway, our runners should be running off any second now.
Yep, I think they're both ready, so we should be starting any moment. And here we go. The runners are off. So, like I said, we are a little bit into the tournament at this point. But if you're just kind of starting to watch and you're wondering a little bit about this game, Ori is a Metroidvania, and the main thing that Ori, the protagonist of this game, is going to do is go to collect all the skills. And that's the one limitation we have in this category, is that you have to collect all the skills without going out of bounds or doing any other teleporting tricks or something like that. So the first skill they're going to be going for is Sign, and that's going to be the main thing that lets our runners attack. So the movement at the beginning here isn't too tricky, and you just kind of see both players walking down to get Sign.
Now, some of you keen-eyed folk may have noticed that Shed is a beautiful shade of yellow. He's not hacking in the game, don't worry. Things are totally fair. He's just entered a key combination that runners like to do for fun that transforms Ori into a random color, giving us some love hearts as well. Very nice.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to see the flavor, the runners having fun as they're going out the first part of this tournament. That color code was actually something that the devs of the game mentioned to runners at a GDQ event. That's how we learned about it. So it's always fun to see runners do that, and it's interesting because you don't actually choose the color you're going to get, and so it can sometimes be like a double-edged sword.
I will say Shed high rolled on this one. Very nice color, very nice. I approve.
Yeah, yellow isn't bad at all because I mean the biggest concern is if Ori starts to camouflage with the backgrounds of the scene.
Yeah. Now we're gonna, so just to address this, there may be some freezing, but we should get the feedback soon. But for now, let's focus on the left. We're going to be seeing a trick a lot in this race. So while we have a bit of free time, actually, first off, there's a trick coming a bit sooner called the Ghost Door, which we're about to be setting up. You see Shed taking a lot of damage here, but that's, I assure you, intentional. Being at 1 health makes this trick faster, because when we open the upcoming door, we're going to be placing a save after entering the keys and then killing ourselves intentionally, which essentially just lets us skip the animation for opening the door.
Yeah, it's kind of health management you see a lot in similar games like this, and definitely in Ori as well, where the runners need to make sure that they don't die, but at the same time that they set up their health to do some of these tricks like Ghost Doors often. Here he picks up a health still, so that's going to put him back up to full health, which is now 4. And like we said, he'll probably be finishing the game with 5 health total, and he's going to make his way down to the second skill.
So, to the other trick that you're going to be seeing a lot in this run that we will be seeing shortly is called Save Anywhere. Now, this is a trick, you will see it when a menu appears on screen, but the runners continue moving in the background. They do that by pressing cancel and proceed at the same time, glitching out the game slightly. But the reason it's called Save Anywhere is that whenever you buy an ability cell, you save the game saves. So with the menu open, you can run around a little bit, then buy a new ability, and the game will save wherever you are. So, as you expect, saving anywhere. This can be used a lot to skip cutscenes and a whole other host of shenanigans. So, you'll see that a lot in this run.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tricks I think that makes Ori a much easier game to get into speedrunning, because you don't have to worry about sitting through all the cutscenes every time, and especially if you're doing for PB attempts or something like that and having to reset and rewatch all the same cutscenes over and over again. But you'll also notice that now Shed has gotten wall jump, and he's able to, or they're able to make shorter work of all these walls and just kind of climbing out of this section that they just dropped down into.
Yep. Good pace as well from Shed. We're hearing 2 seconds ahead of their PB currently, so definitely showing that consistency from high-level runners here. Zooming through.
Yep. Here you'll notice another 2 intentional damage boosts. There was a little bit of a fall, so because he doesn't want to take too much damage, they're going to make sure to kill off those slimes and then continue on to the...
I'm not taking the blame for that little fall. Shed is watching the restream, so not getting too much information right now. However, Jelluh is not watching the restream, so keep that in mind when you're watching. Shed knows the state of the race, whereas Jelluh is running blind.
Yes, that is correct. And so now Shed's coming up on that trick that you were mentioning earlier. So this is going to be the first instance of Save Anywhere. So they're going to jump onto the save. They open up the level up menu and quickly do a button combination in order to kind of cut that off, and yeah, level up the skill and save. So that's saved and basically skipped a cutscene, and now they're into the second area of the game.
Now, this area is not entirely forgiving. There's some deadly spikes, some precise platforming required. But
now it looks like because of these internet issues we're having with Jelluh, we are actually going to restart the race with the runners. So I think Jelluh's working on getting his stream up again, and then we should be restarting the race. In the meantime, yeah, it looks like Shed just got the message. Yeah. So they're going to kind of stop here as we sort this out real quick.
Okay, that's not too much of an issue. We were in the beginning of the race. Shed was on a good pace, but I'm sure he has full faith in his ability to go through glades. Runners of this game tend to have plenty of experience with glades. Yeah,
especially those with 29-28s as Shed has. So yeah, definitely experienced runner. We kind of got to see how, this consistency in this movement that Shed does have down. So as soon as we get things running back up, we'll get back.
Yeah, we'll have a nice side-by-side competitive race. Really get the hype going.
Okay, so the race is being set back up, just to give you a little information what's going on here in the background, and both runners are rejoining, so I think we're almost out of this, but...
So to talk a little bit about the runners, it seems like they both started running Ori about 2 years ago, both of them. One was Jelluh was looking for a speed game and bought Ori just for that, and tried it casually, realized it was a good game and played. And similarly, Shed watched the first All Skills tournament, this being the third, and thought it looked fun, picked it up, and has become a really high-ranking player. So to any of you who aren't playing Ori, keep in mind that 2 years ago, Shed was in the same position, and now he's here, Seed 4 in the third competition.
Yeah, and I would definitely say there are runners as well in this bracket that are much even newer than that. So don't think that this is something you do have to put years into. I mean, Shed's put in a lot of work, Jelluh's put in a lot of work, and you can see both of their times kind of reflecting that. But if this game looks interesting to you, or if it looks fun, it is something you can pick up. There are plenty of tutorials and guides on how to run the game, and that will help you be able to get into it really quickly and do well there. It looks like the technical issues are resolved, so we're just going to go ahead and jump back into it. So here we go. Take 2, Shed versus Jelluh.
First try.
First try, exactly.
Oh, we're getting a nice cyany. Oh, no, we're cycling through the colors. We haven't decided quite on what color we want to exist as. It
and
like
look at Jelluh's color.
Oh, there we go. There's repping the cyan. So there we go.
This is how you can see how you were mentioning earlier, Loopy, that there are some colors that just make it a little harder to see Ori than others. But we got kind of, like you said, a cyan versus, I don't know if it's a hot pink or what's going on the left.
I personally re-roll until I get yellow, or not. Oh,
purple, even worse.
Risky move there by Jelluh, really showing us that he's willing to do that while the Rhino is charging at his supple body.
Yeah, the way the key combination works is any cutscene, like the one you're watching right now, the runner is able to do the key combination there without making any time loss. So that's why they're kind of not too concerned at the beginning, because it's always, you can always re-roll, as you were mentioning. But Jelluh is just getting hit with bad color after bad color.
I think in terms of sportsmanship, we got to give some points to Shed. He is watching the restream, and I feel like he's been inspired to switch off of the hot pink and blend into the background, much like Jelluh.
Yeah, maybe thinking the hot pink was just way too easy.
Hard mode engaged.
And anyway, this goes down, as soon as the runners do get to that first save anywhere that you would have seen Shed do last time just before Blackroot, that will cause that when they exit out of the game, they'll go back to the standard white Ori. So most likely, these are just kind of early game shenanigans during this first part while the runners are having.
Yeah.
So already a little bit of a time difference here. Obviously nothing huge, but slightly better of movement so far from Shed. And this is a little bit to be expected. Jelluh, on the other hand, playing really well as well. Oh, got to be careful with that slime. Luckily had 2 or 3 health at the time, so able to take an extra.
It's potential that was an intentional extra damage taken to be at 1 health for the quick death in the water, but it's uncertain.
Yeah, exactly.
Both grabbing this healther once again.
The movement down in this elbow that Shed is doing right now on the left side of the screen is more difficult than I think it appears, but both runners, able to do it quite nicely. Trying to dodge these slimes, though, can prove a little bit of a...
Yeah, these slimes like to stand right in your way. So much so that one of them has been nicknamed Gandalf.
Exactly, there are a lot of fun little nicknames like that runners of the game and the community have given to the different enemies. You'll notice that Shed had their UI up for a little bit there. That's just to make sure that everything is correct when it comes to life, as we're talking about, but also experience. Because like you mentioned, the runners are carefully routing out their experiences through this game so that they can get leveled at the correct time. Jelluh actually picked up kind of a stray experience there that got him to level up slightly later than he wanted to. I think he was actually going for a level up on the way out of this area, so he's going to have to deal with some brambles on his way out, but should be able to make short work of him, only losing a couple seconds.
Yeah, it's kind of a luxury thing to have those brambles clear. It's not the worst time loss in the world, but it does suck a lot, especially if you kind of lose your sense of flow and muscle memory when you get this new distraction in front of you.
Yeah, for sure. You see Shed there getting the level up when they wanted to, so a little bit of an extra little time save from Shed there.
Now, for those of you who may have only played this game casually, you may be thinking, we're talking about bringing the UI up. Why would they have the UI down? What's going on? Why can't we see the menus? Well, there is a hotkey for showing and hiding your UI, and it just so happens that when the UI is hidden, text dialogue doesn't begin, so you don't hear any of signs, very useful information popping up and slowing you down, so runners tend to keep it closed.
Yeah, for sure. That's an excellent point. And I think it makes a big difference, especially at the start of the game here, where Sign has something new to tell you for every little pickup that you get for the first time, whether it be an experience or a life or an energy, and all of those can be a little annoying to spam through.
Alright, going for that save anywhere once again to save during this cutscene and then run straight through. Now, doing this to a cutscene does leave behind a sort of residual slow zone, I think we like to call it. So you see Ori on the left there walking quite slowly as they exit. That does persist, so on the way out they're going to try and probably jump over that to not be slowed by it, otherwise they'll have to take a slow stroll on the exit.
Yeah, that is a good point. And there are multiple of those that the runners have to deal with throughout the race, that being the first one and probably the one that runners visit the most often. Jelluh now doing his save anywhere on the right side, gets it no problem, able to get through that. Once again, having that little bit of a slow zone, as you can see Ori walking a little slower. Now Shed is going for what we call the genocide route, where by killing all the slimes, they are able to line up their experience nicely and skip getting a 100 experience orb during part of this movement. So that saves a little bit of time overall.
Yeah, now going through lasers, these lasers will murder you instantly, and they get a really nice cycle, that being Shed. So, nice fast movement there.
Yeah, really well done. And Jelluh getting this experience, so that's the one I was talking about. So he'll get his level up right there, and both of them are about equal with experience. Shed was just able to skip that experience orb and get to the platforms a little. Oh, and a little bit of a death from Jelluh. That is an annoying spot, but luckily he knew to put a safety save before this area because there are a lot of things that can just kill you, especially those lasers, which are one-hit kills. So no time loss there, or a little bit of time loss, but no huge time loss, I should say.
Yeah, some good foresight there from Jelluh.
Shed now is going to be going for another save anywhere trick. This is again to skip a little cutscene. This is a smaller cutscene than some of the other ones the runners skip, but the principle is the same, where they're going to wait for a certain trigger in the cutscene where the runner is going to know, okay, now when I close and reload my game, the cutscene's going to continue to play out as I walk over here and kind of able to move when otherwise the game would just have you stuck standing still.
Yeah, there is an alternate version of that we like to call the cutscene stack, but that allows you to move during this tree animation, but brings with it risks. Anyway, now our runners, or Shed and soon to be Jelluh, will have the dash ability, using it to, as you can see, zoom across your screen on the left-hand side and approaching an important trick, if you'd like to talk about that, Rufus.
Yeah, so this is going to be Frankie Walk. And this trick, the idea is that by taking this Frankie over here and, getting him to follow us all the way to the right side of the screen, we can then kill him in a specific spot, which lets us grab his experience and level up where we need to. And the reason the location is important is because there's an energy door here. Right now we only have 2 energy, but when we level up, we get all our energy back. Now the game counts us as not having our energy when we put it in the door, and you need 4 energy to unlock this door. So you'll see Shed puts in 2 energy, waits for the experience comes to him, he levels up, he gets 2 energy back, he then puts in 2 more, and it's effectively as though Shed had 4 energy, even though they only had 2.
Still a risky area. This next area is called the Death Gauntlet because it is a scary one, and dying here would mean that we have to repeat the trick, but it appears Shed doing really well, being as used to the game as they are, not even going for a safety save, full of confidence. There's the save. Okay, and heading down into Moon Grotto.
Yeah, and as soon as the runners put down the save, it's kind of like a sigh of relief because, okay, I know I don't have to go back to the dash because that is one of the biggest time losses you can have early in this game. Setting up for a early grotto cycle and gets it really nice. So that movement is very tight. The runner spaces out a couple dashes, runs up the wall, and jumps at just a specific time to get in between those crushers before they fall. We'll see if Jelluh goes for it as well. Oh no! And just as we were talking about, Jelluh takes an unfortunate death.
Yeah, dying, the Fronky can sometimes get caught up there on the spikes, and if they're only one hit from death, which quite a lot of runners will prepare them to be for the easier kill later on, you can't really lure them across the spike pit anymore. So, unfortunate death there, but it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, the Franky's just really not playing nice for Jelluh.
Not at all. Now, if you look to your left, you'll see just a tree animating. That's because Shed is doing some blind movement off of the screen and is now up on the wall, taking a little hit but recovering nicely. And that was some very nice blind movement done by saving, buying an ability during the animation of the tree, exiting and reloading. You're able to move during the tree animation.
Yeah, and kind of to talk about some of the abilities the runners have been leveling up. You've seen them get magnet, both of them. That's what allows experience and such to be pulled towards the runner. And then the one that Shed just leveled up to do that blind movement is Rekindle. That lets Shed reuse their saves, and it's also really important because when it now gives the runner 1 health back when they do save. Oh no, another unfortunate death.
Back to dash. That is a shame. That's what I mean. Death Gauntlet is full of death, and that Fronky that tagged Jelluh is renowned for not playing nice. You have to try and stealth your way past that one. In the meantime, Shed did another trick that we'll probably talk once again when Jelluh reaches. It's a very specific trick known as Grotto Skip, where you have to jump onto the very specific point on these horrible Moon Grotto walls, and it skips a lot of Gumo's hideout around the left. So that was done pretty well. 3rd try, I believe, from Shed. Nicely executed from him, from them. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do want to mention about Shed is actually currently 21 seconds ahead of their PB. So that is really good, or at least was at double jump. So since there hasn't been any major time losses since then, I would imagine that they're still around there. So that is an excellent pace and definitely what Shed is looking forward to in this run.
Alright, Jelluh is navigating Death Gauntlet. Seems to be past the worst, now has an energy, can place a safety save, is not placing it immediately.
Please save! There
we go. And we're through. Meanwhile, Shed is doing some finicky jumps up to get to an ability cell higher up. An alternate route does skip that, but it does have a crazy trick later on named aptly Crazy Juggle, and it's very difficult. Neither of these runners are going for this trick, so you're seeing us grab that ability cell.
Yep, so a little bit of time loss here because of that strat, but definitely if you don't know how to use the strat, or if you're not very practiced with it, respectable choice for sure. So now Jelluh kind of made it past that difficult part and just has to do the rest of his movement down to double jump. Sees him grab a key and going to do another ghost door here, puts in the keys, dies really quick to get the door to open faster, and a little bit more movement to get down here towards the tree, but not too dangerous as long as he can dodge these 2 enemies, no problem.
Meanwhile, Shed's beginning the first dungeon of the game, and the only one that we really see a huge measure of, the Ginzo tree. A lot of vertical movement here, very deadly stuff, especially in my opinion. This next room here with horrible gamers rotating around these platforms, trying to thrust the runners into the spikes below.
And those spikes are not hard, or not easy to get out of if you do fall into them.
Not at all, but gets through it with ease and is continuing through this dungeon.
And you see Shed went for the bottom path there. That is a little faster than the top path, and it's kind of a difference point you'll see between some runners. Some runners opt for the top path because they're used to it, or because they find it easier, and some runners do because they want to get all the time safe they can go for that bottom route.
Alright, now
so
on
this
the
is
right, the Grotto Skip. With the difficult piece of wall, he actually Jelluh did get the jump, but unfortunately the double jump didn't quite work in his favor, so still trying to get the specific point on the wall. The platform has begun to swing, which makes the trick only harder. Very difficult trick.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, once you get that platform swinging, it just kind of throws you off. But we'll see how Jelluh, how they handle this one. He's still trying to look for that specific spot on the wall. Gets it. Oh, but the double jump not quite working out.
Probably nerves kicking in here. After failing it a couple of times, it's got to knock you off of your rhythm. Oh, God, so close. Meanwhile, on the left, Shed has beaten the first of 2 mini-bosses, and Ginzo is heading towards the Bash Tree.
Yeah, showing us once again a nice little color swap. Going with a tealish color, which kind of looks the same color as those teleporters. Another intentional death there to set up a ghost door, and they're on to bat.
Yeah, Jelluh does manage to get past that difficult trick and is now heading up to grab the water vein. Now, Bash is a very good skill. Would you like to enlighten the viewers about that one, Rufus?
Yeah, Bash is super cool. So Bash is what you see Ori doing there, which allows them to kind of take these projectiles, shoot the projectile in one direction, and fling yourself in another direction. Obviously, by using like we did that, like Shed did that slime right there, able to just kind of move faster throughout the game. But also, you need to use the projectiles sometimes to either destroy enemies or whatever it may be.
Yeah, a very versatile skill. Now, we're going on to another trick here on the left. You may have seen Shed die. That was intentional. We are duplicating the keys in this room. By placing the save in a specific spot and entering 3 keys into the door, we're able to die and then be loaded back at the save. The game gets confused, returns the 3 keys that were in the door into our inventory, whilst also respawning them in the world, thus allowing us to gain 3 more keys than we're supposed to and use that for later areas.
Yeah, exactly. It basically just saves the runner's time in later areas from going and, traversing around to get the keys. Jelluh, now making his way towards the Ginzo tree, has had pretty clean movement since the grotto skip. Going to jump up here, get that skill cell like you mentioned earlier, and has to dodge some crushers on the road.
Now, one thing you may have noticed about the Ginzo tree is that we don't do the final escape, which does mean that the water remains permanently dirty. That's just something to keep in mind. We never do clean the water in this run, which is why we have that 5 health limitation for the final escape.
Yes, because until the water is cleaned, it does do damage while Ori is in it. So the runners are going to have to pay attention to that as they get towards the end of the game and have to do a mandatory swimming.
Yep. Another big trick on the left from Shed here. This is swamp entry with redirecting the frog shots to break in, as we're not intended to break in. Those shots break the floors, luckily for us, and we're able to go to where we would have spawned after if we were to finish the escape in Ginzo, which allows us to get to swamp. It's very important, get to the stomp tree.
Yeah, beautifully done by Shed. Shed playing extremely well right now. One of the things you'll see Shed do that you see often from the high-level runners is just how quickly they set up and shoot off their bashes. It's easy if you're newer to the game that you want to take your time to line up the bash angle, but Shed just immediately knows where they need to shoot the bash, sets up the angle, and immediately clicks bash and lets go of bash. So really quick movement coming out of Shed.
I believe I may have glimpsed even a hyperspeed, which is just an extra layer of swag on top of all his other movement abilities here. Very quick movement.
Yeah, and Shed is actually 40 seconds ahead of their PB right now. Now, it is important to note that most of the time save that Shed does have is at the beginning of their PB, so it is a little bit to be expected, but still playing extremely well right now.
Yeah. And as we noted right at the beginning of this race, if Shed is on PB pace, they're going to go for the PB. So there we go. We're probably going to see Shed, which is a treat for us all. Coming up to another trick here called Kuro cutscene skip. May not have looked like anything just happened on the left there, but we did just skip a cutscene. Because we skipped it, we didn't see it.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks that when you get it, it looks like nothing happens, and that means you got it, and that's good. So you save the time there.
Yeah.
When you miss it, you just have to sit there and just watch the bird come in and ruin your...
It is a very specific trick in terms of positioning and angles and timings. Makes it look effortless.
Jelluh on the right here on that mini boss from Ginzo that we talked about earlier. This boss isn't too bad as long as you can figure out where he's going to spawn next, which there's like a 1-frame tell that the runners are looking for as to where the mini boss will spawn. Jelluh is able to clean that up no problem and going to be moving on to back.
Now, Shed carrying a save anywhere from the tree to this well so that we can skip another very long cutscene, so very important to skip this one. Walking through the slow zone, it is possible to dash glide over that slow zone, but it's pretty difficult to execute. And now Shed is heading into Valley.
So there's a major trick coming up for Shed. We call it fast stompas in the community, and what it is by redirecting a spider shot, you're able to hit a cutscene trigger from far away while going in another direction to collect an ability cell. The angle you have to use on your bash is very precise, but it is something that Shed is definitely going to be going for, and if you get it, it does save a lot of time over having to go and get the ability cell manually.
Indeed.
So it'll be at the end of this little section here. He grabs one more ability cell. The runners need a certain amount of ability cells in order to get and unlock charge dashing, which is the fastest form of movement in this game. So here's that bash I was talking about. You see, Shed lines up the shot nicely, moves down here, waits for the spider to shoot, delays his movement so he can get up to that lantern, and looks like he missed the shot just barely.
It's okay, heading back up, trying to prepare another shot, not going for the casual route just yet, still determined to get this trick. Doesn't have to go up to the ability cell now, just has to move to the right to despawn some rocks to the left of the screen, and there we go, gets the trick.
Yeah, you can't actually just... The intended way is to go and stomp those rocks above Kuro, Kuro being the name of the bird here. But some runners choose, if they miss it, just to go for the bash again, or so the spider shot hits it, because that is a little faster than going and stomp.
So while Shed's about to collect Feather, Jelluh is done with Ginzo now, finished the final mini-boss of Ginzo Tree, and is preparing to head out and head to Swamp.
Yes, indeed. And there you see the first implementation of these charge dashes as just rapid movement coming out on the left side of your screen here. Shed now setting up for Sorrow Bash, a very hard trick where you use this bird to get into Sorrow earlier than you're intended, and they do it no problem.
Yep, ensuring that the bird and Ori both survive the spikes that would kill them both in one hit, unless you have 5 health, is very difficult, but well done. Also important to note, Shed was 8 seconds ahead of PB at Glide, so still on PB pace. Very nice stuff from Shed.
Yeah, it took a little bit of a time loss by missing that fast Stompless, but still ahead, so still has to be feeling confident going into this late game.
Ooh, I'm not entirely sure what's happening on Jelluh's side of the screen, to be honest. I glanced away for a moment, and whatever it is that's forcing a reload is probably something to do with potential blind movement there.
Uh-oh. That's not a screen you want to see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we saw something similar earlier in this tournament. Okay, it appears there was a save very close by, thankfully, and a good backup there, assuming things are fine upon... Yeah, we're good. Okay, moving on to the Swamp entry.
Yeah, I think what happened there is what can happen is when you're doing those blind movements, if you die during it, it can kind of cause the screen to glitch out or things to not appear right. And that's what it looked like happened on Jelluh's side of the screen. But they were able to just kind of go back to the beginning of the blind movement and fix it, no problem. Shed, on the other hand, finishing up with Sorrow over here, going to collect the Sunstone, which is what we use to get into the final area of the game, which we are also going to skip for the most part. But we still need to get in there, and so we still need this Sunstone, which is the key to that area. So with that being said, Shed now just needs to work their way down and over to Misty.
Yep, and Misty is a place where most runners look forward to as they get to strut their stuff with all of their potential movement abilities now that they have Charge Dash and room to roam the wonderful lands of Ori. You get to go very fast in this area, as we hope to see from Shed.
Yeah, and especially this is, I think, a point to talk about. As we've mentioned, Shed has said that, you know, if they're on this PB pace, which they are, that they're going to be going all out. And this is one of those areas where what that means is that you're going to use all of your energy for movement. So you can use your energy in this game to save, that's kind of the safer route, or for these tricks like charge dashes, which does take an energy, and there are ways to refund it, but some just to straight up charge dash is really fast, but it does take an energy. So Shed, you see here, not going for any safety saves, which means if they do make a mistake, they're going to fall or lose quite a bit of time. But if the movement is good, then they'll be able to save a lot of time as the closing zone.
They seem to have cleared the first half of Misty with flying colors. Arrived at the tree. The tree does save for them, so it forces them to have a save. They aren't going to go back up to the Sunstone in Sorrow, thankfully. Now for the second half.
Yeah, you see a lot of charge dashes into bashes. That's one of the ways that you can refund that energy. And the other one is charge dash into stomp, as you see right there. So the runner's doing everything they can to you know, make this energy last so they can do lots of charge dashes and move as quickly as possible. Jelluh on this other side, setting up for Kuro cutscene skip. The angle is a little off, and so this is what we were talking about, where the bird comes and ruins your day.
It's a bit of a shame, but Jelluh deciding to take the hit rather than try it for a second time, probably wise. If you miss it once and get it a second time, it is still worth it, I believe. But failing it twice in a row is definitely not worth it. So this is the safer approach upon a failure.
Yeah, and you don't want to be caught in that loop where you're like, well, if I get it this next time, then I won't lose as much time as if I just wait, and then you sit there and miss it like 5 times in a row.
Exactly.
So you might have noticed something that looked like a boss over on Shed's screen. It died almost immediately. That means that Shed correctly got off a quick kill. So they are basically done with Misty and just working over their way towards the last skill they need to complete this race.
I've already said this a few times this tournament, but seriously, I genuinely just looked down to my notes, looked up, and they were on the other side of the room. I still don't believe you guys. It can't just be me looking away every single time. Come on.
Yes, the runners are definitely... both of them are playing really well. Jelluh, besides Kuro cutscene skip, had very good clean movement on that last split, so working his way over towards fast stompless. You'll see Shed doing a very long blind movement here. There are a couple different options for where you can start this save anywhere from, but going for the most time save from doing it the farthest away, an intentional death, and moving through a kind of a scary area of the game semi-blindly.
But nailing it, getting a good cycle by making sure they go fast.
Oh no!
Oh, but jumps too early and gets caught by the second laser. Going for it a second time. The menu's still up. The death does not remove that. Trying for the fast cycle this next time.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see after this next skill if they still have any chance for a PB.
Yeah.
The movement was still really good, other than that one.
Yeah, they were 10 seconds ahead at climb, but that's gonna be close.
Indeed. Here you have Jelluh working his way up to take care of some birds and a bigger bird. So here are the first one. This is kind of a cool little stomp that Jelluh does right there. That breaks the wall to the right that you normally need charge jump and climb to get. And we did just get that update. So Shed right now is 4 seconds behind their PB.
It's not over. Don't count Shed out yet for this PB. They're still running with incredible speed.
Yeah, it's definitely not over, but they're going to have to put up a good last couple splits of the game in order to get a PB here.
Meanwhile, Jelluh going for that fast stompless, as you mentioned. Didn't get it first try, seemingly, unfortunately. Going for the death and the retry.
Yeah, so Jelluh did something interesting here, where he put his save up to where you direct the shot. So you saw when Shed missed it, that they chose to just kind of go back and re-line up another shot. Jelluh kind of skipping that by saying, you know, if I miss it, I'll just die, and that takes me back up to my save.
Oh, another miss. Unfortunate for Jelluh. This is a very difficult trick. We can't overstate how precise this trick is for positioning and at the angle. It's a very difficult trick.
Yep, and here Shed uses that Sunstone to get into Mount Horu, this final area, final dungeon. The way we skip it, as I mentioned earlier, is by doing Dwarf. So it's a frame-perfect trick that the runner needs to put in an up input at the first frame of loading the screen. So you'll see Shed wait for the autosave, quits out, loads up the game, and they know the specific time to click up there. Gets it first try. That's really awesome to see in a intense situation like this.
Yep. Not going for a difficult trick named Warmth Skip, probably for the best. We hear that it's not something that they tend to go for, so doing it on the fly here probably wouldn't result in a positive outcome. So good decision here from Shed, but now we're just going through the final escape.
Yeah, Shed mentioning they weren't a fan of that. That's understandable. It can be an unforgiving trick. So the movement here is all very important as you try to make it to the end of this escape. As we mentioned, Shed has 5 HP, which is coming very important with this water here that is going to be taking damage while Shed is in it. So we have to make sure that they don't take any more than 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, no problem.
no hesitation, not outrunning the camera even. Now we've got one last trick called a grenade jump, which is a one-frame trick once more, and if executed perfectly, will send you flying to the right, skip half of the final cutscene, gets it second try.
Yeah, second try. So not sure whether that'll be a PB or not. It will definitely be very close. And for a run, for a race setting, excuse me, it is always, you know, great for runners to be that close to their PBs.
Yeah.
Directing your eyes over to the right side of the screen, Jelluh now working his way through Sorrow's path.
Yep, using the frogs to help find his way through. It's going to go and grab charge jump. Nice yellow tone, though kind of making it harder to see in this layout.
Yeah, the yellow would have been great earlier. Oh no, but luckily he did save, so not too horrible.
Shed's final time being a 29:36, which is less than 10 seconds off of their PB, but unfortunately isn't quite a PB. Very good performance from Shed. They should be very proud of themselves. GG to the Burb.
GG indeed. Jelluh here now getting charge jump. This is the skill that allows for a lot of that upwards vertical movement that you see later on in the game. And after charge jump, they are going to set up for Terror Break and work their way up to Sunstone. So Terror Break is kind of interesting. It is a save anywhere trick like you've seen earlier. But what this does is after you do the save anywhere, you kind of set the position for where you're going to save. And then he's able to use a charge jump and intentionally die with the charge jump. And when you respawn for just one frame, you still have the effect of the charge jump. So you're able to break a wall way above you with a charge jump from below. So here you see the save anywhere being set up. He's now able to move around with the save screen open. He saves his position, does a charge jump, and then breaks some rocks that were stopping him from going upward. Now has to do a little bit more blind movement because we're going to use the save anywhere one more time to skip a cutscene here at the top of the mountain.
Yep, this cutscene is a rather long one. You don't want to be watching it. As fun as story time is, it's very important for a good pace to try and... Well, you can get a good pace with this, but you'd rather not. It's quite a big skip.
Yeah, it is indeed.
It appears we're going to be getting Shed in for an interview. I believe now.
Yeah, we'll get Shed in here as soon as they're ready. At the meantime, though, Jelluh is now going to be working their way towards Misty. This is always, I think this movement right here that Jelluh is doing is super fun. You get to work, just use Stomp to get the most downward momentum possible and just continually go down. It's very fun to do in races and runs.
Yep, bashing off the bird, dodging these deadly spikes, and then probably doing a meteor kick, as you're seeing here, which is just an inverse rocket jump, which is charge dashing towards an enemy and then cancelling it mid-charge dash, which allows you to conserve your momentum and go flying across the screen.
Yep. So here we kind of talked about earlier, this is a part where the runners are able to showcase all of the movement they have. Now Jelluh does need to be careful because he only has one energy, and he's going to use it on a rocket jump there. So from here on out, no more saves, no more charge dashes, just dashes, bashes, and glides.
Thankfully, there are a few energy crystals scattered about that, if Jelluh were to decide to, could pick up to get one energy, and it seems like that's exactly what he's going to do. Now has an energy, and is able to do more of these lovely charge dashes.
And while Jelluh's finishing up here, we are going to get Shed in. So Shed, how are you doing after that race?
Yo, Loopy Rufus, I'm doing pretty okay.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear
I
it.
can imagine.
Yeah, you should be. Excellent performance from you, Shed. Near flawless. That was very impressive.
Thank you very much.
So,
And can't say I'm unhappy with a 29-30 in a tournament race.
yeah, I don't think anyone should be unhappy with that. Now, you were on PB pace for, I would say, the vast majority of that run. How are you feeling going, especially towards the beginning when you were, I think it was at Stomp, you were around 40 seconds ahead of your PB?
20 seconds ahead, but yeah.
20? Okay.
Yeah. It's... If you had asked me the same question last tournament, I would have said extremely nervous, but my current PB is... Its early game is so terrible for my current level that all of my attempts in the last month or so, I've just been used to being like 20 seconds ahead of my PB the whole time. It's it's just yeah, I'm just used to it at this point. It's what I expect out of most runs that aren't awful.
So when would you say it dawned on you that this could actually be a potential PB run part way through the race?
About when I was still ahead after missing fast stomp lists.
Yeah, that was crazy. Now just sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I'm almost happy that this didn't PB because I missed fast stomp lists. It's been a pride point of mine that I've been incredibly consistent with that trick for a long time now, and I'm kind of mad that I missed it in a tournament race, but whatever, it happens.
Yeah, I think it's for sure one of those tricks that every once in a while, like what happened to you, the angle is just slightly off. Now we do have Jelluh, just to kind of mention real quick, finishing up the Misty boss there was a little bit scary for him since he had taken a few hits earlier, so kind of riding through the end of Misty with just about 1 HP, but making it through no Oh, and a little bit of death on the spikes.
Luckily we placed a save right for that door, so nice and safe. No, barely any time lost.
Yeah, now another question for you, Shed. So you mentioned that you were kind of watching Jelluh's stream as it was going on. Was this something that you were paying much attention for, or were you kind of just thinking all about the people?
I was paying attention for a little bit, but when I saw how far ahead I got due to Jelluh's early game troubles, I sort of tuned it out and just focused on.
Yeah, definitely a lot of unfortunate things in the early game there.
All right, well, if we just checking the bracket here to make sure I don't lie horribly to your face, Shed, but it looks like you're going to be in the round of 16 up against either Hitachi or Monkley. Do you have any preferences on which of those you might be bashing heads with?
I mean, I would expect, just based on like runners' times and such, I would expect to end up facing Hitachi, but as always, it is Ori. Things could happen. You never know. Monkley has upset top runners in the past. It could happen. I would rather face Monkley, both for in terms of my own comfort, as Hitachi is terrifying when he's on his game, but also Monkley and I are pretty good friends, so racing him would be pretty neat.
Yeah, that is always fun. And if I could ask, just kind of with how you're practicing right now, what are the biggest things are you focusing on with practice?
Honestly, my practice recently, outside of the couple no resets I did last night to get in the race mood, has been PB attempts. I'm gunning for the sub 29. I won it, and I'm just practicing for that.
I'm certain you're going to get it sometime soon.
Sure hope
Meanwhile,
so.
we're seeing Jelluh exiting from Light Grenade with some really extra swag grenade jumps here, flying across the screen, and also a rocket jump that unfortunately led to a death, but still not deterred, going for that rocket jump and succeeding this time, zooming through the final areas of this game.
Yeah, he gets it the second time, and I think it's always fun to see those rocket jumps, especially in these late game areas. Or sorry, not the rocket jumps, grenade jumps.
Both,
they just
really.
offer so much speed.
Yeah, a grenade jump being very similar to a rocket jump in that you throw a grenade and charge jump just straight after, and similarly to the rocket jump, the game kind of forgets to limit your horizontal momentum. So you jump off of a wall and you just go flying. That's what you saw used earlier on by Shed to skip half of the final cutscene.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, grabbing this health cell here in approaching Horror.
Yep, at this point, Jelluh's kind of going for the extra safety. No doubt has seen the dot done from Shed, and so just saying, you know what, 6 HP is fine. Not really on PB pace, not able to win the race anymore, so just finish it off consistently and safely.
Trying to go for some stomp cancels there, a little bit of a flub, but a good recovery, not flying straight face first into lava. And now Jelluh's going to be attempting their door warp. Still a one-frame trick, still pretty difficult. We saw Shed fly straight through, but Shed's very good at this video game, and it's a very difficult trick. So let's see how Jelluh does.
Yep, it is a one-frame trick. And it's kind of while they're finishing that up, just want to say GG once again to Shed. It was an honor casting that race. You did really well. Like I said, to get that close within a PB in a tournament race is always good. And good luck with your future match.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you certainly are a force to be reckoned with this consistency you're showing.
So Jelluh still trying on that door warp. It can be really finicky if you don't get the right frame. Some runners do try to time it, and others try to kind of mash it out. There he goes. He's able to finally get it and just has his final escape ahead of him.
Yep. Gonna be watching this. Kuro is the antagonist of the game, but not the only burb to be screaming at Jelluh.
So one thing to know is how careful the runners have to be during this final escape. Now, Jelluh, we mentioned, does have 6 HP, but that does not mean that he can take any extra hits. All it really does is allows for a little bit more of a mistake in the water movement, but any hits of these fires will still either kill him or put him too low to be able to get through the final water. Moving very quickly here, destroying the walls that are in the way, using the projectiles there. It gets it with just one bash over that elemental, so that's always good. Oh, but a hit by the fire, you'll see.
Recognizes it, jumps into the fire.
Going for it again, moves through here, throwing in dashes, dashing between these lanterns to get up.
Oh,
but
that is
another hit by the fire.
Yeah, if you stomp the center of that destructible platform, it won't stop your stomp, and you'll just go sailing straight through. So that is a very easy way to take some unfortunate damage if you get used to the stomp stopping you, as you see here.
That time just kind of using the feather to take his time to get down, not to make sure not to stomp into the fire, using the feather to carefully get over those flames, move his way, and this is that water we're talking about. With 6 HP, he should have no problem getting through it, bashing off the fish. And there's a little bit of a skip here you do. Normally Kuro spawns on this final segment. By doing a charge jump at a specific spot, the runner's able to despawn Kuro, and that puts him just where he needs to do this final grenade jump.
Lining up, making sure to move around, take extra time, because there are potential soft locks for the game, which will make you have to start this final escape over, but nope, nails it.
Matching Shed with a second try grenade jump. Very nicely done by Jelluh.
GG to Jelluh. Good showing from both runners. Very reasonable showing. Unfortunate things from both sides, but overall a good race.
Yeah, Shed very close to that PB. Jelluh did have some unfortunate deaths at the beginning, and that can always be hard to kind of come back from a run where you're already playing from behind, but finished off, played well in the end, and so we'll see his final time here in a second. But GG to both players.
GG, getting a 4. Oh, the timer didn't stop. This normally would stop upon passing Naru reaching that tree. So we're not going to get the visual on stream, but it will be recorded. Don't worry. We might hear from someone the accurate information, but for now, we won't know the exact. 42:10 in chat from Fula. So there we go. 42:10. Respectable time for sure.
Yeah, maybe not everything going his way, but he did finish out, and so GG to both players.
Very much GG. Alright, I'm gonna see if Jelluh wants to come in for an interview. It's up to them. Oh, no, Jelluh not looking to interview. Jelluh...
And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Either way, that was an exciting match, and both players...
Yeah, both players giving it their all, not giving up, getting all the way through to the finale. Alright, so here, with that said, here we're seeing the brackets slowly fill out. You can see, well, we'll see soon, Shed move on to match 19 and be up against, as I mentioned before, Hitachi or Monkley in the future.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be a very exciting match as well. Now, if you're wondering, which will Shed play out of Hitachi and Monkley? You don't have to wait too much longer because that race is going to be coming up later tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. So you'll be able to see who Shed will be going up against. And I think Hitachi versus Monkley itself can be a very exciting race. Kind of how Shed mentioned in the interview, Monkley is one of those players that is known to upset runners that have, better times or better qualifier times than him.
Yep. Not too different in seeds and dimes. It's got to be a match to enjoy. So if you're around 10 p.m. Eastern, I highly recommend. I believe it's currently scheduled to be on Speed Gaming too.
Yep, and then later tonight, even still, if you're ready for those late night hours, we'll have Cheese Lover versus Try Night at 2 a.m. So that's the remaining Ori you have to look forward to today if you didn't get enough of the action here.
Yeah, but don't despair. There aren't only 2 races left in our lives because Saturday is filled to the brim. 12 p.m. Eastern, all the way to 4 p.m. Eastern. It's chock full. Every hour there will be an Ori race. So we've got a lot to look forward to still for this round of 32.
Yeah, it's always super awesome. I feel like every year we get to that time where you just have all the races back to back in one day, and I think tomorrow is going to be one of the biggest days that we have for this tournament. So definitely something to be look forward to. We'll be on Speed Gaming channels throughout the day tomorrow, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Anyway, for us right now, that about wraps us up. So thank you for commentating alongside me, Rufus. Thank you to the truck, and thank you to the restreamer for all the help and guidance. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of volunteers and stuff that comes behind the scenes. So thank you to everyone there, and it's been awesome, Loopy. Thank you to you.
Yeah, good race. See you all around.